All right, Brenden, my wife and I have decided this together. If we needed one of the Sharks to come babysit our 1-year-old, congratulations, you're that guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Your thoughts on that?
I'm honored.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are we accurate?
I think so. I don't have a family yet of myself, so I don't know how I would exactly be.
We're just going on trust here.
No, yeah.
You're a trustworthy guy.
I appreciate
down-to-earth guy.
I appreciate
reliable.
Appreciate that. I mean, Bernsey, if he hears this, he might need some...
well, he's got a few of his own, too.
Say,
maybe your availability was part of it, too.
Yeah, that helps, too. On a Friday night, who do you call? Dilly's there. But, yeah, no, I can do my best.
Isn't it crazy how a lot of your teammates would describe you as the nicest guy on the team, but I would sit here and describe you as the first to drop the gloves and fight an opponent? That's an amazing part of hockey, isn't it?
It is, and yeah, I mean, I appreciate my teammates, having that in mind and saying those things, because I think that's something that I try to pride myself on, is being a good teammate, being a guy in the locker room, whether you're 40 years old, married with kids, or a 19-year-old that's fresh out of junior playing their first game. I want to be able to have a relationship with all those guys, and with that comes having a little bit of physicality on the ice, a little bit of a brotherhood per se, and I think that's something that makes our group, as great of a group as it is we kind of have that that relationship with one another, that we got each other's back. Did
hockey breed your personality as you've grown up and evolved, or do you think that maybe you are this way anyway, and this is how you'd be? This is the kind of person you'd be no matter what you're doing.
I think a bit of both, to be honest. I think it's been a lot more than a game for me throughout life. It's given me everything. It's given me a lot of friends. I've met a lot of people that have been of big importance in my life, from my family, my dad from a young age, and just how to be able to be successful off the ice, I think, is something that hockey teaches you, how to be with friends, how to manage personalities, to manage different people in different situations altogether. So I think as a whole, I love the game, and I'm very fortunate to do what I do, but I think there's a bigger picture thing too that hockey has for a lot of us.
There's only one more fighting question in this interview. Here it is. In 2017, I think it was, when you fought Austin Watson.
Yeah.
And you guys come back in the box and you're just chatting it up like two old buddies.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes later, and then that goes viral. Everybody sees that. People that aren't even hockey fans see that, and they're like, "Wait a second, is this for real?" That is for real, because that's kind of how this game is.
Yeah, it is, and I think if you were to ask anybody, like for myself, a big part of my game is physicality, skating, those kind of things, but when you get into an altercation like that, or even if you have a big hit on somebody during a game, you never want anybody to get hurt.
Sure.
And I think that's league-wide. If you're scrolling through Twitter or the news and you see someone has a pretty traumatic injury, the first thing you feel is bad for them, regardless of it's your biggest enemy or a division rival. And I think for that certain one, it was kind of funny, because a lot of guys, even the boys on the team, were like, "Oh, Dilly, like that's one of your buddies?" I was kind of like, I've never met the guy before.
But you guys went back in the box. I can't remember who started the conversation, but I think what most people don't realize is there's no partition between you guys there.
Yeah.
You're separated by distance in the penalty boxes at SAP Center, but there's nothing really between you guys.
Yeah.
So you can have that conversation like you guys had.
For sure, and there's different instances too. There's been fights where if I saw that guy 2 seconds later,
still hot, right?
I was gonna try and break my stick over his head, potentially. No, I'm just kidding. But and there's other.
I don't believe that. See, the way you say that, I don't believe that. But okay.
There's other. This is me trying. I want to babysit your 1-year-old still, so
that's
why I got
to changing
make sure
my mind on that.
Yeah, but there's other instances too where whether you're sticking up for a teammate and there's something that you just act on instinct can just kind of bring a different mentality to you too.
When you were growing up playing hockey as a kid, were you a forward that turned into a D-man, or have you always been a D-man? How did that work?
My dad was a defenseman growing up, and for him, when you're on younger teams, you usually have less numbers on the back end, get to play a little bit more.
Better chance, right?
Better chance, skating forwards and defense, or backwards, sorry. So kind of incorporate a little bit of everything.
Yeah, so it was a pretty natural idea that you would be on the blue line. That's kind of came with the territory of the Dillon name.
I would have liked to. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking about your childhood and growing up in British Columbia, I feel like it's a lot like California. And let's get provincial here for a second. If there's 3 spots in BC that I need to go visit, what are they?
First and foremost has got to be Vancouver. Vancouver, for me, I mean, it is home, and I'm a little bit biased. And
it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's got
the
a little
harbor,
bit of everything.
the bayfront.
You got the mountains. You got the city. You got a bit of the wildlife if you're into fishing. Getting out into lakes. That's definitely a big one. I'd say Kelowna.
Okay,
BC.
up in the mountains.
Up in the mountains,
Right.
a little bit of lake area. There's Soyuz and Penticton right around there too, which a lot of hockey guys tend to migrate to. And then I'd say Whistler would be a third one too. And that's another unbelievable place if you get some time, winter time, summertime, a little bit of everything.
I said I feel like BC is similar to California because we have great areas around here too.
For sure.
Whether it's Tahoe, Monterey, wine country. How much have you explored California? You've been here a few seasons now, and there has been some free time, I would imagine.
Definitely. This is crazy to think. This is my 5th year with the Sharks, and every year I tell myself I want to try and venture out, do something a little different. So I've done Monterey, I've done Carmel.
Good.
Where else have I gone? I've done like Capitola.
Okay.
Half Moon Bay, San Francisco, Sausalito. Actually, it might be one of my favorite spots.
It's a great view back of San Francisco.
Exactly, yeah.
But not Tahoe yet?
I haven't been to Tahoe yet.
Oh,
I
man.
know. I've had guys, a lot of guys go there for Christmas. I've
Right.
kind of like bounced around. I've been going home a couple times, had my family down, but Tahoe is definitely high on my list to get to for sure.
We gotta get you up there.
Yeah.
And you said wine country, you've been up there too?
Yeah, I've been up to
Okay,
wine country.
all right, all right.
Yeah. So
Just want to make sure all the boxes are checked off here. And that's just Northern California.
I know.
There's a whole southern half of this state too, but we'll save that for another show.
There you go.
How often do you let your mind go back to being in the Stanley Cup Final a couple seasons ago? And 2 things that stand out to me from the observational standpoint are just how many rounds and how much effort it took to get to that 4th and final round. And then the takeaway a couple years removed is how close you were. And I understand the series, went Pittsburgh's way, but you think about just a couple more wins and all of a sudden there's a parade here in San Jose. There's rings and there's a legacy. How much do you let yourself mentally revisit that?
It's tough to think about. There's a lot of happy memories and a lot of good things for not just myself personally with where that was in my career, but for the city of San Jose, for the Sharks organization, for a lot of guys, Patty Marleau being here as long as he was to get to that point, Jumbo, Pavs, and at the same time a lot of disappointment too with getting that close. And I'll remember sitting at dinner with a couple guys, I think it was Nick Spalling, Jonesy, a few of us, and just I think it was before we even played game 1 against Pittsburgh and thinking about, wow, we've gotten this close. We win 4 games and we have all these things happening. Where are we going to take the cup? Who are we going to spend time with? And even when hockey players talk about, we're just talking about the next game, it's tough sometimes to not think about, 10 games down the road, 15 games. And
you're human still.
Yeah, we are. And I think in that instance, we took a lot of good out of that. And it was really tough the next training camp, especially in 16-17, to really just forget about that and realize, man, we got to go through that grind to get there once again. And for that too, it makes you, when you get that close, have the taste of it and want it that much more. And I think a lot of the guys that are here from that year have that back deep down in them.
All right, so we're here at the Holiday Assist Party. This is something that's been going on many years, even before you came here as a player, and I know you've gone through this several times over now. What are some of the best parts about this evening and how it goes and the reactions and the way that everybody feels leaving here tonight? Everything, top to bottom. This is one of the ones that us as players look forward to every year. When you get to see the families and the kids' reactions, and first and foremost, a lot of the kids have never been on the ice, let alone in a hockey rink. So when they get to go here and you see them getting their faces painted and just kind of sharing in the couple hours with dinner, you kind of talk about
their Christmas experiences, and unfortunately some of them aren't able to experience Christmases the way that we have as kids, and the way that we do now, and being able to kind of help get them to have a smile on their face, to experience a happy Christmas. It's pretty cool for us to be able to share in that.
Yeah, and when you say you and your teammates really get excited about this event, there's a lot of things you do which are obligations as a player, but to your point, I really feel that sense of this is something everybody wants to be a part of tonight for that specific reason. I would also say, too, that you look across the Sharks roster, there's clearly nobody from around this area that grew up around here.
Yep.
I would also say, though, that so many players feel a deep connection to this area, and tonight is kind of a prime example of that. Would you agree?
100%. You see a lot of the people here sometimes, whether they've seen you at the grocery store, or they've seen you in the mall, or they bumped into you at a school visit, whatever it might be. San Jose is a tight-knit community, and for a lot of the players, a lot of guys really enjoy spending their time here, and some guys spend 12 months a year here, and when you're part of that community, you're not just part of a team anymore, you're part of a city, and we feel that when we play at SAP Center. We feel that when we're at events like this, when we get to share with fellow San Jose residents, and I think it's just a cool part about being a Shark.
I feel like I can ask this question to a guy who is just about as grounded as it gets, but when you're a professional athlete and you're young and you're on a private jet and you're staying at a 5-star hotel and you make a handsome salary, is it easy to become disconnected from the rest of the world and maybe even a situation like tonight? Do you see where it becomes an easy thing to not be able to grasp?
I can definitely see where that can be perceived sometimes, and I think you said it best earlier that we're people too. We're just guys that grew up wanting to be hockey players, grew up playing with their friends like a lot of kids do, and some of us were very fortunate to have families that were able to provide for us and make Christmas a very special event, and for some of us we can relate to some of these instances, and being able to come in and make Christmas better. I mean, anytime you got an extra present under the tree or an extra fun night to share in with family and friends, that always made this time of year a lot more special, and that's what we're just trying to do today.
I got two more things for you. The first being, tonight, definitely not the only community event that you participate in during a hockey season. There have been court resurfacings that you're out there with, little street hockey, as well as the Special Olympics floor hockey game, which takes place pretty much annually at Bellarmine College Prep here in San Jose. Tell me about some of the other ones. Maybe begin with that floor hockey game of what the Sharks do to put on that event.
Oh, they do a great job of that one. That's another one of the fun ones during the year we get to go and partake in. This is my third year doing it, and they get the Shark head out there. We got Coach Pete doing being the referee. We got all the coaching staff kind of commentating, giving little rah-rahs before their shifts, and again, that's just something where when you get to put yourself in the shoes for one day and be able to have fun with those kids and be able to play in those types of games and see what it does to them, how excited they are when you sign their jersey after, when you give them a high five. It's a lot of fun to do those. And stick to fitness is another one that we talked about with the court resurfacings. That's a good one too, where we're able to just kind of promote kids getting off the couch, getting off the video games, the Fortnite and whatnot, which I know might not be easy to eliminate, but if we can get a couple more hockey sticks in people's hands, you never know.
And as for those court resurfacings too, it's not like you can throw an ice rink in any old elementary or middle school here in Northern California. It just doesn't environmentally go over. It's not possible.
No.
But to grow the game in that sense around here, it's a non-traditional hockey market in many ways. To grow the game that way and make it accessible, I think that's huge.
It's huge, and I think for people that grow up in the Bay Area that are fortunate enough to have 2 NFL teams, 2 Major League Baseball teams, a basketball team, a hockey team like the Sharks, it's pretty cool to see. And for a lot of the kids, a lot more than we think, and myself included, you go into these elementary schools and you see a 6th grade class and 90% of them have Sharks gear on. Whether it's a hat or a sweater or a backpack, and to be able to have the city again, repping their color, repping their team, it's pretty cool to be a part of.
So going back to tonight and to close this out, when you're picking out gifts and you're the giver of gifts, do you find yourself wanting to give things that you liked to get when you were a kid? And if that's the case, what are some of the things that you liked to get?
Yeah, well, there's a bit of both. We do get a wish list from the families that we kind of adopt, so we kind of have a ballpark of what some things
what they're looking for.
Yeah,
got it.
You know, boys versus girls, blue versus pink, little things like that. But for me as a kid, you know, a hockey stick or a hockey, whatever it might be, something to do with that was usually pretty high on my list. I remember I got a Nintendo 64 when I was like 9 years old, and that was still the dream present of all time.
You're dating yourself, by the way,
I was going to say, I know. Hey, I got a Nintendo Switch is getting hot on the plane right now, so we're not too far behind.
Bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah.
Those are some big things. I think anything as a kid where, you know, you can kind of put a year to that certain gift, it's more so of a memory than an actual present, and I think that's something that always kind of stuck with me.
Great chatting with you here. Enjoy the rest of tonight.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
Brody.
Dilly.
Thank you, man.